Hello, the theme of this video is biographies of historical actors of the Cold War. Let's talk about 6 characters: John Fitzgerald Kennedy, Richard Nixon, Fidel Castro, Nikita Sergeyevich, Henry Alfred Kissinger, and Ho Chi Minh. But first, let me tell you the biography of John Fitzgerald Kennedy. John F. Kennedy was born on May 29 in 1917 in Brooklyn, Massachusetts, USA. He was the second son of Joseph P. Kennedy and Rose Fitzgerald Kennedy. Kennedy was a gifted student and attended Harvard University, where he studied international affairs and politics. In 1941, Kennedy joined the United States Navy and was stationed in the Pacific during World War II. He was awarded several medals for his bravery, including the Purple Heart and the Navy and Marine Corps Medal. After the war, Kennedy entered politics and was elected to the U.S. House of Representatives in 1946, where he served 3 terms. In 1960, Kennedy announced his candidacy for president, running against Republican nominee Richard Nixon. Kennedy won a close election, becoming the youngest person ever to be elected president of the United States at the age of 43. Kennedy was also known for his advocacy of civil rights and his efforts to address economic inequality. He proposed a number of major initiatives, including the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the War on Poverty, which aimed to reduce poverty and provide health care and education to disadvantaged Americans. Sadly, Kennedy's presidency was cut short when he was assassinated on November 22 in 1963 while riding in an open car during a parade in Dallas, Texas. Now let me tell you the participation of Kennedy in the Cold War. One of the most significant actions taken by Kennedy during the Cold War was his response to the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962. The crisis began when the Soviet Union began deploying nuclear missiles in Cuba, just 90 miles off the coast of the United States. Kennedy responded by imposing a naval blockade on Cuba and demanding that the Soviet Union remove the missiles. The second character is Richard Nixon. Richard Milhous Nixon was the 37th President of the United States, serving from 1969 to 1974. He was born on January 9 in 1913 in Yorba Linda, California, and grew up in a modest family. Nixon graduated from Whittier College in 1934 and went on to attend Duke University Law School. Nixon began his political career as a member of the House of Representatives in 1946, representing California's 12th congressional district. He later served as a senator from California from 1950 to 1953. In 1968, Nixon ran for president again and won in a narrow victory over Vice President Hubert Humphrey. During his presidency, Nixon implemented several domestic policies, including the establishment of Environmental Protection Agency and the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. He died on April 22 in 1994 at the age of 81. Now, I'm going to tell you the participation of Nixon in the Cold War. One of the most significant actions taken by Nixon during the Cold War was the opening of diplomatic relations with the People's Republic of China in 1972. Nixon also pursued a policy of nuclear arms control with the Soviet Union, leading to the signing of the Strategic Arms Limitation Treaty in 1972. The third character is Fidel Castro. Fidel Alejandro Castro Ruz was a Cuban revolutionary and politician who served as the Prime Minister of Cuba from 1959 to 1976, and later as the President of Council of State and the Council of Ministers from 1976 to 2008. He was born on August 13 in 1926 in Viran, Cuba, and grew up in a wealthy family. Castro became involved in revolutionary politics while studying law at the University of Havana in the 1940s. In 1959, Castro and his guerrilla army succeeded in overthrowing Batista, and he became Prime Minister of Cuba. Castro's government implemented a range of socialist policies, including the nationalization of foreign-owned industries and the establishment of a centrally planned economy. Despite the challenges faced by his government, Castro remained in power for over 50 years, becoming one of the longest-serving heads of state in the world. He retired from his position as president in 2008 and was succeeded by his brother Raúl Castro. Fidel Castro died on November 25 in 2016 at the age of 90. Participation of Fidel Castro in the Cold War. Throughout the Cold War, Castro supported a range of revolutionary movements around the world, including in Latin America and Africa. He provided military and economic support to leftist governments and guerrilla movements. In his interventions were viewed with suspicion by the United States. The fourth character is Nikita Sergeyevich Khrushchev. Nikita Sergeyevich was a Soviet politician who served as the first secretary of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union from 1953 to 1964. He was born on April 15 in 1894 in the village of Kalinovka in the Kursk Oblast region of Russia. Khrushchev began his career as a miner and worked his way up through the ranks of the Communist Party. However, Khrushchev's tenure was also marked by a number of controversies and setbacks, including the Soviet Union's failure to match the United States in the arms race and the Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962. Participation in the Cold War. One of the Khrushchev's most significant interventions during the Cold War was the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962, which brought the world to the brink of the nuclear war. Khrushchev authorized the deployment of Soviet missiles to Cuba within striking distance of the United States as a response to American missiles placed in Turkey. The fifth character is Henry Alfred Kissinger. Henry Alfred Kissinger is an American statesman and diplomat who served as the United States Secretary of State under Presidents Richard Nixon and Gerald Ford. He was born on May 27 in 1923 in Ford, Germany, and emigrated to the United States in 1938 with his family to escape Nazi persecution. Kissinger earned a bachelor's degree from City College of New York and master's and PhD in political science from Harvard University. He became a professor at Harvard and published several books on international relations, including his seminal work, A World Restored, which examined the balance of power in Europe after the Napoleonic Wars. Participation in the Cold War. In 1968, Kissinger was appointed as a national security advisor to President Nixon and became a key figure in shaping U.S. foreign policy during the Cold War. He played a crucial role in the negotiations that led to the opening of diplomatic relations between the United States and China in 1971 and was instrumental in negotiating the Paris Peace Accords that ended in the Vietnam War in 1973. The last character is Ho Chi Minh. Ho Chi Minh was a Vietnamese revolutionary and politician who led the country's independence movement against French colonialism and later against the United States during the Vietnam War. He was born on May 19 in 1890 in the Ninh province of central Vietnam and died on September 2 in 1969 in Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. As a young man, Ho Chi Minh traveled extensively, including to France and the Soviet Union, where he was influenced by Marxist ideology and revolutionary politics. Ho Chi Minh went on to become the first president of the Democratic Republic of Vietnam, which was established in 1945 and led the country during the Vietnam War against the United States, while he initially sought to negotiate a peaceful settlement to the conflict. He ultimately supported the use of force to expel the United States and its allies from Vietnam. Participation in the Cold War. During the Cold War, Ho Chi Minh pursued a policy of non-alignment, seeking to maintain friendly relations with both the Soviet Union and China while avoiding alignment with either superpower.